Yeah, it was one of the things, like, it was happening so often where I once I started going, I had to go to the next one, and I wanted to hear the stories of those workers. So I went to a next one, and it was just an interest of what they were dealing with. What are the issues, so I can understand myself. So if somebody asks me why you're there, and I can say, well, the workers told me this, so this is why we should care. We have an understanding of um, the meaning of solidarity. We we're a race of really people who kind of stick together. We're islanders, and there are not many of us. So when we can, if we see a fellow islander or Tongan or Samoan or somebody from the Pacific, we kind of try to build a bond because there's not a lot of us here.
Uh-huh.
I've tried to kind of implement that in the labor movement. I don't have to know your job title, your job function, or what you do, but the similarities are we're union members, and I've treated you as a family member. Like I I don't have to know your name, but as long as you're a union member, you're family, and I should be there for you.
To me, Tevita, the reason I wanted to interview you, and I think the reason so many people are seeking you out now to interview you, is because there's an upsurge in the labor movement. Their unions are getting better contracts. They're going on strike more. They're winning more strikes. They're getting more organizing drives going, and they're winning more organizing drives. But I don't even think that's the main thing. I think the main thing is what you symbolize, the fact that solidarity has grown way out of proportion. Just for example, last week you and I were out picketing with the Starbucks employees at the Mockingbird station in Dallas, Texas. And there were, I think, maybe five, maybe six Starbucks workers there, but there was another 35 or 40 people that just showed up. You're the one who always shows up. And that's symbolic to me of the great rise in solidarity. So, is that your opinion too? Do you think that the rise in solidarity around the United States is is a really significant development?
Yeah, I think you hit it right on the nail, Gene. These young workers, many of which have no experience in any union or have no knowledge of unions or the history or the reason why there are unions to begin with, they are getting real time. They are throwing themselves in the fire and getting a crash course, real time history back into a time where organizers had to organize their workplaces. And that's what they're doing. They're using an old playbook that's always been around,
Mm-hmm.
but they're using it to the T and following it, reaching across to other workers whom they may not have, or they don't know that they have more in common with than they do not in common. And it's those commonalities these workers are using to energize this new reorganizing drive. And you see it, like, I see it myself when I speak to Starbucks workers. And a lot of them are wide eyed, young kids just out of high school or in college. And they are just sticking together and trying to find a way to voice their concerns to their employer or to management. But they are, along the way, they're getting help from organizers and allies like you and I. When we show up to their strike picket lines, it's a huge morale boost. And it makes them feel like people care. And there are a lot of us that care, a lot more than they think.